with regards to women menses, which is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained on all the daughters of Adam and Eve. All women share this fact that they have to experience their monthly period and the menses and so on. If it is regular, it comes on regular time, and it stays the same regular time, that whether it's 5 or 7 more or less days, then there is no problem, because with that a woman must stop praying, and she cannot fast, of course, nor enter the masjid, nor perform tawaf, or have an intimate relationship with her husband. But the problem arises when, not necessarily if there is a bleeding or spotting before, rather after. If it happens once every while, a month or two, and it stops, that is called istihada, or irregular bleeding. That's entirely different than al-hayd, or the regular menses, which would stop a woman from praying and fasting. But a woman whose habit or period monthly cycle is 7 days may prolong the period over time to 10, and it may reduce it. So if it happens for several months, then that means her period has exceeded the regular time, and now it has become 10 days. If the bleeding is continuous, if the 5 or the 7 days finished, but there is still some spotting, that is from the period. It becomes confusing, or we may suspect that it is istihada, or irregular bleeding, if a woman stops the period completely and reaches a stage of tahara, where she sees the white discharge indicating that the period is over. Then a day or so later she may experience some spotting. That's called irregular bleeding. In addition to, it's very easy for every woman to recognize this is the hayd or istihada, the cycle, the period, or the irregular bleeding, via examining the physical characteristics of the spotting or the bleeding. The brownish red color of the spotting indicates it is still of the period. So if it is continuous from the very beginning to the very end, even if it reaches 10 days, that means your period has transformed from 7 to 10 days. But if it happened once or twice and it stopped, then that one time or 2 times is called istihada. It does not stop a woman from praying, from fasting, from fulfilling her regular religious duties, or even having an intimate relationship with her husband. But she will be required during the state of istihada to wash herself for private and perform, of course after performing ghusl, and perform wudu, ablution, for each fard prayer, for each namaz. Unless if she's traveling, for instance, and she prays jama', then one wudu will be sufficient for 2 prayers, which she may pray at the same time, even if the spotting is continuous.